Hi, I'm Thom Southern. Check out my interview on indiebuddy.com. Well, we kind of M mode was, yeah, it was, yeah, it was interesting. It was like after Southern, I wanted to just take some time off, and Lucy actually always had these amazing songs during like the Southern days, and I used to like convince her to put them as the B sides to Southern, which was probably a terrible idea because they were so different. Like Southern was like really blues, sort of like punky blues indie, and then Lucy was making this like amazing kind of dream pop, shoegazy, Radiohead style music, and then I'd make her put them as the B sides to Southern. So whenever we like stopped Southern, I uh, I was like, why don't like while I'm taking some time off from being like the front of a band, why don't we make another band, and like this band you're the front, and then we'll kind of do this style of music, because I've always been into that style of music like all through Southern anyway. Like my all my inspirations were like um like there's a band called the American Analog Set, which was like this sort of post punk, really stripped back acoustic shoegaze influenced band, and then other bands like Smashing Pumpkins and Jesus and the Jesus and Mary Chain, and but Southern was like kind of, it came off like there was that big like folk boom like about 10 years ago, and like everybody was doing sort of blues and country, and so Southern kind of was like part of that whole like movement. So whenever we went in dem mode, it was like really fun for me to finally get to do the music that I'd actually always really loved doing and was desperate to do. So yeah, it was pretty much that, and then we were kind of surprised at how much we loved it, so yeah, well, yeah, we just cracked on with it, and then I don't know, ended up doing it for a couple of years, and then whenever we whenever we decided, we I don't know, we just had, I had so many songs that I wanted to do, and M mode we ended up starting to like share the lead vocal, and we just had so many songs, so we were like, we might as well just split this up, continue co-writing everything together, and have two kind of projects side by side. So I helped Lucy get started first. So I've been like kind of like co-producing her with people and co-writing her music, and pretty much like day to day managing her, and she manages it herself. It's very DIY. So we've just been doing that the last 2 years, and it got to a point where Lucy started doing so well that, and and she felt like totally comfortable being a solo artist, that I felt like it was the right time for me to like start to concentrate on all the songs that I had. So that's just, yeah, now we're like side by side, and um it's pretty fun actually. Like we're really enjoying it. But it was funny the other day, like we got played back to back on Radio Ulster, and everybody really wants us to be like Liam and Noel Gallagher and like have like rivalries and stuff, but which we do like naturally. But no, we're like, we really, it is like everything we do is what, we write it all together, and she's as much involved in my projects as I am in hers, so it still feels like a duo. um I think, yeah, it was, I've been working on Shivers for so long, trying, because I originally wrote it as a song for M mode, because we were gonna do an M mode second album, and it started off more like the one that I've just released, and then obviously we went down like working with Lucy, so we actually tried making it a single for Lucy, and it had this like really Arcade Fire sound, and we did it with James Skelly, and we just decided like it wasn't the right thing for Lucy, and it was actually, to do the song justice, it really needed to be that like heavy, fuzzy, Smashing Pumpkins kind of vibe, and so yeah, it was just, I just spent like some like a good few years. It started off as this little folk song, in a kind of Bob Dylan sort of way, like the kind of love you need, it gives you shivers. But yeah, so I was just desperate to get it out, so it just felt like the perfect tune to just finally be able to put it out there, and start to move on to like other things. But yeah, I've been really happy with the response to it, and yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think naturally, like with everything I'm gonna put out, I like the instrumentation to completely absorb you as much as the lyrics. So I think that's just gonna be an ongoing thing that I do. But yeah, I really love like upfront guitars, like to the point where like you can't, especially with Shivers, like you can't really even hear the like melody that the guitar is playing. It's sort of hypnotizing in that way, like that there is like the main hook underneath it's like da 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 da, but like every time I tried to pick that melody out too much, it became very like contrived. So I don't know. It's like bands like My Bloody Valentine were the best at that. You know, they had this like amazing hook melody, but they always hid it underneath loads of the noise. So you almost had to like take it apart with your mind and find them. But yeah. So Shivers is definitely like a good representation of that like method of production. But yeah, I love like big fat sounding guitars. So yeah, this it's actually my family home's garage, and it literally like I moved after whenever we finished Southern, I came back here and it was covered in spiders, and it was like a lawnmower over there, and and I literally worked in here like that for like a good 2 years. Like I never like I couldn't I just couldn't be bothered cleaning it up, so I like had a little like desk made out of just something holding it up and some crappy speakers, and yeah, it was like it was a total dump for a couple of years, but we did like we did the whole M Mode album in here, and then it's just sort of like as I started to make a bit more money from like just getting some songs in adverts and stuff like that, I started to like collect gear, and yeah, it's just evolved over the last 3 years into like this really awesome room, and I got like proper soundproofing stuff in, and deadening materials, and I've kind of just collected like way too many guitar pedals, and yeah, it's just sort of become like my little space that I get to escape to. But it was so cool because I finished it all before Christmas last year. I like completely pimped it out, and then lockdown happened. So because normally I'm kind of back and forth between Liverpool, like pretty much 50-50. So I was in Liverpool in around early March trying to find an apartment to live in. And then the news just went like, 28 days later vibe. You're like, let's get the hell out of here. Like, there's no point living here. We might as well just move home in case we're going to be stuck, inside a house for a year because the studio and all the gear's here. So yeah, we just came back here, and it's literally been our safe haven. Like I'm so grateful to have this space. Like I literally just lived in here for about 2 months and never came out. But yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it was probably the most productive time of my life, like my whole career, like over the last 10 years. I think I got more done in this time than all of that. And I also like produced all Lucy's stuff, and we've like written loads of new songs together, and I've actually really enjoyed lockdown, to be honest. Like I know it's been an awful time and it's terrible like what's happening with people and stuff, but for me personally it was just really nice to escape the pressures of having to gig all the time, and rehearse with your band, and then have to write songs and in and out of the studio, and I'm juggling me and Lucy's careers as well. So it was just like it really was just perfect timing to like just sit back and get the music right, and you know yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was kind of there was a kind of nostalgic thing to it. It was especially for the first, because everything was so up in the air at the very beginning, like nobody knew what was going on. So it was a good opportunity to like, switch your phone off and nobody would think badly of you, especially like, industry people that we work with and stuff. But I think, the industry's a funny one because it's constantly adapting to like how quickly things are changing, and we were going to be at this point anyway in 3 years. Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, just Facebook in general, has just completely dominated this industry. And I think we were all going to be here in 3 years doing Zoom gigs and doing interacting in like completely bizarre ways. But this whole lockdown has like pushed us forward in such a dramatic way, to the point where everyone's on Zoom and you know, Skype and stuff like that, and you know, doing writing sessions over the internet. And I co-produced my EP completely over the internet this time, and I think that is the way the world's going anyway, which is sad, but as well. But you know, like there's loads of advantages to it as well. So yeah, I haven't yet, but Lucy did loads at the beginning of the year. She kind of it was funny, like whenever I'm ending up doing an interview talking about Lucy, she actually like really sort of capitalized on the whole lockdown thing, and like she was doing these like cool garden videos, just her sitting in the garden with the sun shining, and they kind of went viral and stuff. And then she was doing like loads of these sort of lockdown gigs for like other brands and like fashion brands and stuff, and it definitely seems to like really work. It just depends on like how you do it, really, you know, and not do it too much, I think. But I'm probably gonna do. I'm putting my next single out like sort of Halloween time, and then I'll probably do like an Instagram live or something like that, you know. But yeah, I don't really like it, to be honest. Yeah, you're kind of just, yeah, you and like especially like if you talk to the camera, they don't speak back, so you're kind of like, so anyway. But like, yeah, I suppose people are just like, it's kind of weird. You're just like looking at loads of people saying like, oh my god, I love you or whatever, and just reacting to that, I suppose. But yeah, it'll never be the same as playing live. My project is like, and Lucy's as well, but for me personally, like I'm gutted about the whole gigging thing, because my favorite thing is getting on stage and playing my guitar obnoxiously loud. And you know, I love there's nothing better than playing live. So I just really hope this gets back to normal like ASAP, and the government do something about it, you know, and get funds in for the music industry, because it's just an absolute disaster at the minute. So hopefully there's more positivity at the beginning of next year, you know. It kind of it sort of changes from like song to song a lot. Recently I've just been playing it on just an acoustic guitar in the front room and working on it until I'm happy with the structures and stuff, just using my voice notes and stuff. But yeah, I most of the time with the the heavier kind of like fuzzy tunes that I do, I love. It all starts with a drum beat, so I just use like Logic Pro drummer loops and stuff like that to get. I love a groove. Like that's where most of my lyrics and everything come from, the rhythm of the drums, and then I just interact with that and then write a hook over the top. So I kind of never really write lyrics first. It's always inspired by the groove and the melody, and then I'll write a lyric. I'll write my lyrics based on like the tempo of the melody as well. So especially with this music that I'm going to be putting out over the next 6 months, it's just totally orientated around drums. And like one of the tunes actually has like an almost like hip hop break drum loop the whole way through. And it's got like a bit of an Elliott Smith vibe with like just two big baggy acoustic guitars. And so yeah, I think people are probably expecting me to put out lots of versions of Shivers, you know what I mean? Like a lot of bands do that, but I get really bored by that. Like I'd be more inspired by the way Beck would produce his music. Like you don't really know what's going to come next on the album. Like there's always like an overall theme. Like, you know, with Odelay, it definitely all had that one sound. It was all recorded in the same way, the same mix style and stuff, and that's what sort of gels it all together. But if you really pay attention to the songwriting, it's very different, you know, and he's constantly surprising you. So I'm trying to do that with this music. So I think because of lockdown, like I was supposed to, Adrian Bushby did this music with me, but I was supposed to go to Black Bay Studios right at the top of Scotland, and with my band for 2 weeks, and we were going to record it like pure classic rock band, totally live and layer it all up, and it would have this like really like organic sound, and like you were literally at the gig with us or something. And then when this happened, we couldn't go up anymore, of course. So I literally this whole like I've done about 6 songs with Adrian, and every track is fake drums. It's all like samples and stuff. Because so I had to adapt because I can't do drums in here. Um, so yeah, just like yeah, definitely. That's kind of yeah how this project has come together is just based off like percussion and drums, and yeah, it's been cool. Yeah, I've like totally yeah, I'm really pleased with this stuff, and it's good to kind of like Brian Eno always said like he always came up with those like those cards to like completely throw you off course and try to do something totally different and not stick to the same like recipe that you normally do. Like he like I always love that like the more uncomfortable you are, the better it's going to be and more exciting it's going to be to like find something unique and totally different to anyone else. And yeah, I think like that I got this with this music. Like a lot of the songs are Shivers I wrote like 3 years ago or something, and then the next single I'm putting out I literally wrote that like while I was in Southern. But it's like evolved into this like other thing, and I've put like other songs inside it, and so I've been living with these songs for such a long time. So whenever I came back, it was just really cool to like completely like produce them in a very different way, and not have the tools that I normally have, like my band playing, and that energy of a live band is nothing can beat it. So it was hard as well to like make the drums sound not shit, like because I there's nothing worse than like a fake drummer on Logic Pro, but I think it's turned out really well. Yeah, yeah. It really depends. It depends on like the music that they're doing, of course, and like if it's a girl or a boy on a guitar and they're playing folk music, it's so easy to connect with people on Instagram now, and I think Instagram is such an amazing platform. It's probably my favorite. Facebook is just so clinical now because of the advertising side, but it's also very useful, but it's not very creative. But like yeah, just Instagram, I think like putting like what Lucy's done, like she's done so well off just putting up covers of like bands and make sure that it visually looks nice for people to watch it and engage with. It can't just be you. I mean, it could be like, it just depends on the mood of the song and everything. But I always think like a kind of visual aspect is really cool, making sure that like, what you're making is beautiful, and it meets the standard of your song. Like do your song justice, and don't just sit in like a boring white room with a boring wall. Like do it in your garden, like on a nice sunny day, or a really dark room with like a cool light on you or something. But yeah, that's good, and like obviously bands can do that as well. Like the lead singer and like the guitarist or whatever could get together, and the whole band could do it as well. It's just like yeah, just like make the most of Instagram at the minute, and if you have a bit of money, like look at like boosting your videos to the right people, and advertising yourself to like make the most of the advertising tools and stuff. I think is really important now, because we can't tour, we can't advertise ourselves on the road, we can't go into radio interviews and be face to face with people. So you really do need to like move with these new times and make the most of that, and then I think yeah, just that is the only thing we can do right now, is just make the most of the internet. Yeah, I've pretty much got like a song coming out every 2 months, and then after that, just like I've pretty much written like 2 albums worth of material on top of the music that's coming out. So it's I've been just working on this since Southern finished, so it's literally been like 4 or 5 years. So yeah, I've just got like so much music to put out, and I'm it's kind of annoying because like I've made this like project with Adrian during lockdown, and I'm already dying to get in with him and do the next one. So but yeah, I have to just be patient. But yeah, just loads of music, and then hopefully like we're me and my band are back on the road, and you can come and see us in a city near you.